President Trump got something of a surprise during his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
He forged the Abraham Accords. He's forging peace as we speak in one country and one region after the other. So I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, Bibi.
Now, this is something President Trump has often spoken about over the years as an honor he believes he's deserving of.
That's very nice, thank you. That's very nice. Nobel. I think I'm going to get a Nobel Prize for a lot of things if they gave it out fairly, which they don't.
You hear from the
They will
Israelis
never give me a Nobel Peace Prize.
what would happen if the Israelis
I deserve it, but they will never give it to me.
This is Trump has recently called for prosecutors in Netanyahu's ongoing corruption trial to stand down. So is Netanyahu's presentation of that letter to the Nobel Committee a sincere gesture or a well-timed strategy? The group chat is back to talk about this. I don't know who wants to start, but I do know that ever since Obama got a Nobel Prize, I have heard Trump talking about it and heard criticism on the right about whether the committee, is on the up and up, so to speak. You're nodding.
Well, no, it's just turned political. Obviously, I think Netanyahu is very smart to do this. I don't personally think there'll probably be a vote because I think that there's just too many polarizing conversations out there. And by the way, can I just tell you how much I missed you? You're never allowed to go away again.
Look, I'm never going to act like I'm as good a foreign policy expert as my sister Ashley is, and everybody on TV knows that. But what I do know is how to handle a politician and how to play to a politician. And Netanyahu should get an award himself for the way that he handles Donald Trump. I don't know if y'all know, but it probably costs a lot of money to fire as many rockets in the air as they have to do in Israel every day to defend themselves. And what he's trying to do is get some more rockets and probably get them at a discount. This is how you do it.
Right, and on the edge of these negotiations as well for this ceasefire, you actually hear Trump also being deferential to Netanyahu in several cases. What do you make of this moment? Trump did look a little bit surprised, even though it's something that he's wanted for a long time.
Was it a little more like, really? Me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You're
really?
saying a bit of a Taylor Swift.
Maybe. I mean, what I'm saying about this is that, this is the way you deal with this president. This is American foreign policy now, right? The president of NATO calls him daddy. The president of Israel, or the prime minister of Israel, says, here's a Nobel Peace Prize for you.
There was the jet.
Yeah, there's a jet. I mean, this is sort of exactly how this works in this White House. And the interesting thing between this administration and the first term is that everyone kind of understands this now. So they all have their kind of stuff lined up. Just sort of, when they show up at the White House, here's my thing that I have. The guy from South Africa, right, who joked about, I'm sorry, I don't have a plane for you, right? I'm sorry, this is how you have to deal with this White House. So no, I don't think that was a completely sincere shocked and amazed. But it is an interesting part, too, in a broader picture of how this administration works as well, which is that this Nobel Prize now is completely politicized, right? This is what Trump has been saying for years. If he doesn't get it, it's because they hate him and they hate America or whatever. And if he does get it, it's because they come around and they love it. And that's kind of how it works now.
Trump has
He's done a ton for Israel, especially. I mean,
and also just in general these other foreign policy areas with wins and losses, so to speak. So,
and look, I mean, even with the embassy during his first term, I mean, I remember at least when I was in the White House, we were talking about it back then. I think every President Clinton did, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. He did that last time as well. So he's done a ton. I mean, what happened with Iran?
Yeah. So I mean, your question about the committee, I think, is a fair one. Even given their concerns probably about Netanyahu, it won't be for lack of trying to mitigate and mediate international affairs.
News involving the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's heading to Capitol Hill right now. He's set to meet with the House Speaker Mike Johnson after having dinner last night with President Trump at the White House. The Prime Minister said he believes what he calls very broad peace is indeed possible between Israel and other countries in the Middle East through President Trump's leadership. He also presented the president with a letter nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Joining us now is Jeff Flake. He's a former Republican senator from Arizona and a former U.S. ambassador to Turkey under President Biden. Ambassador, I'll call you Ambassador. Thanks so much for joining us. As you know, President Trump is turning up the pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu to try to get a Gaza ceasefire and hostage deal in place. How do you see all this playing out?
Well, I hope it plays out well. I'm glad the president is engaged, and he obviously needs to speak to President Netanyahu, or Prime Minister Netanyahu, but he also, Hamas needs to be engaged in this. They have to want this peace, and I hope they do. It's certainly past time. The people there are suffering greatly.
On the letter that Prime Minister Netanyahu wrote and showed to the president last night during the course of their dinner, he nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. It's an award that has long been a fixation for the president. Why do you think Prime Minister Netanyahu did this? Clearly, President Trump was very pleased, very excited, very surprised to see that letter. Do you think Trump would be a worthy recipient? And I ask that to you not only as a former U.S. senator, but also as a former U.S. ambassador to Turkey.
Well, I certainly hope that he's worthy of that, and time will tell. Obviously, there are still conflicts going on. President Trump famously said that he could bring the Ukraine-Russia conflict to an end within 24 hours. We're still working on that. So I certainly hope and wish him well, and hope that he can deserve that prize. I hope we have peace.
What he did do during his first term was create what's called the Abraham Accords, which did lead to peace relations, full diplomatic relations between Israel and several Arab countries in the Middle East. That was a very significant development, and now he's clearly trying to expand that to include other Arab countries as well. At the same time, as you know, Ambassador, he says the United States will supply Ukraine with more weapons to defend itself from the Russians. It's a very notable change from how President Trump has generally talked about Ukraine. And just last week, the Pentagon paused some weapons shipments to Kyiv. What do you think is behind this latest apparent shift towards Ukraine?
Let me first say the Abraham Accords were great, and that's the basis of ongoing stable peace in the Middle East. And so I hope we can continue there. And the president is to be commended for doing that in his first term. With regard to Ukraine, certainly glad to see what the president said, that weapons will resume. That is desperately needed. We need to help Ukraine fend off Russian aggression. And so I'm very happy to see the president change his mind on that.